Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 65 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how are you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Same as always, my friend. Very good, very good. So we're going to roll straight into part one. Now, as I said last week, there really wasn't many fights. Well, there wasn't anything to preview. This is a bit of a dead season for boxing. So there's not too much rambling on from myself or Ayaz. Part one is going to consist of the review part of the show. And we're also going to put the preview part in as well. So we're going to do the review and the preview in part one, and then we're going to bring in the first interview. So in part two is just going to be the news and the second interview. So we're going to start with part one. There's one fight really in total to review, which happened last week. This one was a man who was on our show a couple weeks back. I wasn't sure if his fight was definitely going to happen, but it did happen, and he got a win, so I'm happy about that. So it happened over in the Ford Community Center in Dearborn, Michigan, USA. Fight over there. Cornelius Bundridge, 34-6. He picked up his 35th career win with a KO in round 2 over his opponent Sergio Gomez. Sergio Gomez really never was going to pose any kind of threat. His record was 20 wins and 20 losses. It was really just just a fight to start off the year on a good note for Cornelius Bundridge. He knocked him out in round 2, and Sergio Gomez has never been stopped that quick, so a little bit of an accolade there for Mr. Bundridge. It was great speaking to him on the show, so I wish him all the best for the future. Great stuff for Cornelius Bundridge. That's really it for the reviewing. So as I say, it was very, very short. We're diving straight into the preview part of the show now, where we preview the fights coming up this week. Again, there's not too much to talk about. There's only 1 or 2 cards in total. We're going to start with a card happening over in the Hialeah Park Racing and Casino in Florida, USA. I think I've pronounced the venue properly there. Top of the bill over there, Erislandy Lara, 23-2 with 2 draws. He takes on Yuri Foreman, 34-2. So Erislandy Lara putting his WBA Super Welterweight title on the line. As we know, Lara's a class fighter. He's a very, very tricky customer. But I do want to throw it out there. I don't want to jinx for any of our listeners or anything like that, but it will be Friday the 13th. We know that is a day that is prone to mistakes and upsets and stuff like that. So, we hope that Erislandy Lara gets the job done. We want to see him in those big fights, in those unification fights, to be honest, at 154. But I don't see him having any trouble, really, with Yuri Foreman, in my completely honest opinion. Also on the undercard, Anthony Dirrell. He's got a record of 29-1. He looks to pick up his 30th career win. He takes on Norbert Nemesapati. That's the guy who, that was the Hungarian guy who Callum Smith fought on the Kell Brook undercard, against Golovkin on the 10th of September 2016, just last year. Callum Smith took him out in 6 rounds. He retired on his stall, so he's in there against Anthony Dirrell, super middleweight again. So I think that, this is going to be an easy win for Anthony Dirrell. Nemesapati boasts a record of 24-4, which isn't no disgrace whatsoever, but Anthony Dirrell, a good fighter, too classy in my opinion for Norbert Nemesapati, but it's a 10-rounder at super middleweight, that one. But the main talking point of the preview part of the show is going to be between 2 guys who have both fought either brother, or both fought a brother each of the Dirrells. So it's the Dirrell Nightmares, which are fighting in a unification that we're going to be talking about in just a moment. The last fight to mention, though, on this card at the Hialeah Park Racing and Casino on Friday the 13th is Juan Carlos Payano. He was the former super bantamweight champion. He's actually moved down to bantamweight for an 8-rounder here against Isao Gonzalo Carranza, who has a record of 15-7. Juan Carlos Payano with a record of 17-1. I suppose, I don't know, he's gone down in weight. Maybe he's going to see what he's like at that weight and we'll have to see. His last few fights have been at super bantamweight, so we'll have to see what he's like there. He's just dipping his toe in the water, so it seems. And, he's a good fighter, so we'll see what the future holds for him. But that's really it for Friday the 13th. We're now going to talk about the card that really is the whole reason why we're doing the preview part of the show. This is the main card. It's over at the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, USA, a fantastic boxing venue. I want to start with the undercard. I want to say that Thomas Delorme's on this one. He's in an 8-rounder at welterweight. His record at the moment 23-2. He takes on Brian Jones 13-6. Also on the undercard, a fight that I'm really looking forward to. Possibly, well, I don't want to say more than DeGale and Jack, because I think that's a cracking fight, but definitely a really, really, really good fight. And we're going to be speaking to one of the guys in that fight in just a moment's time. Jose Pedraza, the champion, I will announce first. He's 22-0. He puts his IBF World Super Featherweight title on the line against Gervonta Davis. 16 wins and 0 defeats, so somebody's O has got to go. A combined record of 38-0, these two guys. Gervonta Davis can really bang as well. He's got 15 knockouts out of those 16 wins. So, we're going to be speaking to Gervonta Davis in a very, very short matter of time. So, I'm going to leave most of the talking to him, but that's a wicked fight. It really is. Gervonta Davis, only 22 years old. Is it a little bit too early for him? Jose Pedraza, very, very underrated fighter, and of course a champion in this one. But a really good fight. I cannot wait to watch this card on Sky Sports this weekend. This is Saturday, the 14th of January. Great way to kickstart the year. Now, also another fight on the undercard I should mention. Amanda Serrano has a record of 30 wins and 1 loss with the 1 draw. She's taking on Yasmin Rivas, who has a record of 35-9 with 1 draw. This one is for Amanda Serrano's WBO World Female Super Bantamweight title. She's a good fighter, so she gets a mention here. And on the main event, the final fight that we've got to preview for you on the preview part of the show, James Chunky DeGale, 23-1. He's putting his IBF World Super Middleweight title on the line against the WBC World Super Middleweight champion Badou Jack, promoted of course by Floyd Mayweather. Badou Jack 20-1 with 2 draws. James DeGale 23-1, as I said. This is a brilliant, brilliant fight. Ayaz, firstly, before I give my opinion on it, I want to throw it down to you. Both guys, as I said, the Darrell Nightmare brothers, I suppose, because they both beat the Darrells. They're both, to be completely honest, they both have a claim to say that they're the top man. They're the man to beat at super middleweight. Firstly, before I ask your opinion, it's a really, really good fight. I'm sure you agree on that one.
Oh yeah, it's a cracking fight. This is one fight I'm looking forward to this week.
Yeah, and not only that, but just for the whole year. I mean, there's not too much on this week, so I know that you will be looking at it. But all the fights haven't been announced for the whole of 2017 yet. We've already had some wicked announcements, but to kickstart the year, I can't think of a better fight. To kickstart the year, the main point here that it's a unification between 2 top guys at super middleweight. So I'm going to ask you, Ayaz, who do you think is going to win this fight and how?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go for a DeGale win. Because first of all, DeGale's the favourite to go in. He's a favourite going into this fight. But I reckon with DeGale, right, to be honest, DeGale stepped up recently, you know that? Yeah. Since joining Al Heyman, he's fought Medina, he's fought Butte, yes, he's fought and Andre Darrell, and he's won all 3 of them. He's fought away from America. He hasn't just fought in England; he's fought away in America as well. So he's beaten top guys. And from that, in my opinion, I reckon he's going to beat Badou Jack.
Yeah, I mean, both guys have beaten Lucian Butte recently. James DeGale actually going out to Canada in the hometown of Lucian Butte to win that fight. So a massive, massive credit given to James DeGale. First things first. James DeGale, we both know this as he's a Class 2 fighter. He really, really is. He's a hard man to hit. He's very elusive. He slip shots second to none in the whole of the boxing business. The man he's very slick. He's a southpaw. He actually, lately, I want to say he's been hitting harder than he ever has. He looks very strong at the moment. Looks more solid than ever. I know that he's called chunky and whatever you, but he seems to have really become like he's come of age kind of thing. He seems to be, better than ever, really on form right now. The only thing that worries me about James DeGale is the last few big fights that he's been in. He's, he's took his foot off the gas and he's let his opponent claw back a few of the mid rounds, and that is the only thing that worries me. I don't think that Badou Jack does anything particularly spectacular. I just think that he does the basics well, and I think that given the opportunity, given the if James DeGale does take his foot off the gas and gives Badou Jack a chance to get back into the fight, if he's losing the fight by the first few rounds, by the way, because it's a real pick'em, it's definitely a 50-50, then I think that's a big mistake. I think that James DeGale cannot afford to do that and take his foot off the gas. Badou Jack is probably the best fighter he's shared a ring with. I know that George Groves would say something about that, but yeah, Bute, he's past his prime. This is going to be a big test for James DeGale. I personally wouldn't be surprised with any outcome. I've seen a lot of people saying, including one close friend of mine, that they reckon there's going to be a lot of knockdowns. I can't see any knockdowns, in my honest opinion. I really can't. I definitely can't see DeGale being knocked down for one. Badou Jack was stopped early in that shock loss that he had a couple years back. But since then, he's looked so good. And as I say, it's going to be a real tough fight. It's going to be a really good fight to watch. And I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm going to go with James DeGale winning on points as well, Ayaz. That's what you said, right? DeGale points.
Yes, I'm going for DeGale points.
Yeah. So, I agree with you there. I'm not going to disagree. So we can't set up any kind of prediction league on that one. But that really is it for all the talking on part one. We've done the review and preview. We've actually sandwiched it into one segment kind of thing. Usually we got the review and then we got the preview, but it's been the review and preview in one. So maybe you like it a little bit better that way. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Any feedback, remember where to go on Twitter at BoxHard Podcast. There's one last thing to do before we end part one and move on to part two. And that last thing to do is to bring in a man. I've kind of given it away who it is now. I did say that we're going to be speaking to him in a couple moments, and he's ready for us right now. Please welcome our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man with a record of 16-0. 15 of those wins by knockout, 7 of them coming inside the first round. If that doesn't tell you enough, he's promoted by Floyd Mayweather. It's, of course, Mr. Gervonta Davis. Gervonta, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure, sir. It's my pleasure. Now, firstly, my man, you're a very, very young guy. You've only just turned 22 a little while back. You had an extensive amateur career, winning over 200 fights, which is absolutely, it's just incredible. Now, as a pro, you've got a perfect record. As I said, a string of knockouts. You're promoted by one of the best boxers to ever lace them up. Are things going as good as they seem to be?
Yes, everything going great. We just ready to put on a great show January the 14th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to ask you this. What is Floyd like as a person, Gervonta? Because we've had a couple of his fighters on this show before. I asked them the same question. It seems like he's misunderstood in the media a lot of the time, whether that's his own fault or not. I heard that he bought you something pretty expensive as well.
Floyd is a great guy. A great guy. He put people in position to win.
Yeah. And he bought you a pretty expensive gift. Is that right?
What, a car?
Yes.
Yes, he bought me a car, a Jeep Wrangler.
Excellent, man, excellent. Obviously, you're closer to him than the average person. There was a lot of talk that he was going to come back for that 50th fight. What's your opinion of that? Do you reckon he's done now?
Yeah, I believe he's done.
Okay. And who do you see as the man at 147 pounds without him?
147. I'm not for sure who really at that weight.
You got like Furman and Garcia, Pacquiao still there.
Oh yeah, I like Pacquiao. I'm not really a big fan of Keith Thurman. I like Lamont Peterson. I think he's a great fighter at that weight.
Okay. Yeah, no, he's still a lot of talent there. You got Kell Brook as well. He's there. He's there.
I like Kell Brook. I like Kell Brook.
Okay.
Oh, we got hold on. We got Earl Spence.
Oh yeah. Of course, you left him out. I left him out. Yeah, another talent. There's a lot of talent there. There always has been, but there is some top guys there. So you reckon Errol Spence probably the number one guy?
It's a lot of good guys. I won't want to say he's the number one guy, but he had potential to be.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Now, Gervonta, the reason we've got you on this show is because, you know, it's been announced just recently that you've got a world title shot set for January 14th, as you said. As I said, Gervonta, you're still only young, but admittedly, you've got a ton of experience under your belt. You've earned yourself a shot at the IBF super featherweight champion, Jose Pedraza. Now, Jose Pedraza, in my opinion, is a damn good fighter. He's very, very underrated. If you look at, for example, the top 15, top 18 world ranked super featherweights on BoxRec. I know that they've got, you know, their rankings is not the best, but if you look at their guys, they've got everyone in the top 15 or so. They've all got draws or losses on their record. They've all got little blemishes. Pedraza is clean. He's just got wins. How well do you rate him as a fighter, in your honest opinion, Gervonta?
Pedraza is a great fighter. You know, we can't take that from him. He's a world champion. You know, once again, like you said, his record is clean. 22-0 with 22 knockouts. You know, I don't think that's anything that I should be scared of. You know, he's a regular old opponent to me. You know, that's going to get, you know, get his dunk took in January 14th.
Not only is he very good, he's also the longest reigning world champion at super featherweight. It goes without saying that this is a huge step up in class from your past opponents as a pro. How sure are you that you can be the man to beat this guy?
I'm very sure that I can beat Pedraza. You know, I'm more quicker, more stronger, you know, more elusive than Pedraza himself. You know, once again, I'm not taking nothing from Pedraza. I think he's a great fighter. You know, I think he proved himself in, you know, his last few fights. You know, but how can you stop a young lion, you know, that's hungry and have his mindset already on what he come to do, you know? And that's the stage I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple of good fights on the bill that you're fighting on. The main one, of course, the top of the bill, James DeGale against Badou Jack. Now, I know that obviously, you know, he's part of the money team as well, Badou Jack. It's a good fight, you know. I'm sure, even though I'm sure you're going to favour him, it's a good fight with him and DeGale. Who do you see winning that one, in your honest opinion? A lot of people saying DeGale, especially over here.
To be honest, I haven't really watched Badou fight before.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched him fight before. I watched a little bit of DeGale, and DeGale can fight. You know, he's definitely a good fighter. You know, it's gonna be a great, exciting fight.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I have to ask you this, Gervonta. Last couple of questions now. I think I've only got 2 left for you. I've got to ask you this. We have to ask this to everybody that we speak to, from the US especially. Who would you say, if I was to ask you, who's your favourite fighter from the UK? Doesn't have to be a fighter that's still fighting. It can be one that's already retired, from any era. Who would you say is your favourite UK fighter?
I think I like Khan. You know, even though he don't have a chin, but I think he's a great. I think he's a good fighter, great fighter.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I don't know if we've had Khan before as an answer, but there's a first for everything. Khan's a good fighter. Khan is one of our best fighters, without a doubt. And finally, Gervonta, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance for you to send a message to the UK fans, because there's a lot of guys over here that are behind you. There's a lot of guys over here who are very excited for your future in boxing. You know, the UK is famous for having some real hardcore boxing fans. Have you got a message for any of your followers that live this side of the water?
Yes, I have a big message. I love you all. You know, hopefully I get to come to the UK to touch more people in the UK. Just keep supporting me, and I fight for y'all. And I wish y'all nothing but the best. And hopefully I'll be in the UK soon. Hopefully I get what's his name, Stephen Smith, after this.
Okay, that'd be a brilliant fight. Yeah, that'd be wicked. I'd
Yes.
love to see that.
Yes. So hopefully I can get Stephen Smith after this, and you know, and we do a press conference in the USA, and then we can come to the the UK to do a press conference.
Yeah, that'll be tremendous. If you come over here, as I say, there's a load of fans, so you will be welcomed very much. Okay, listen, Gervonta, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time. Best of luck for January 14th, and hopefully next time we speak, we'll be talking to the new IBF Super Featherweight Champion of the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part would normally be the preview part, but seeing as we stuffed it into part 1, we're going to just talk about the news. So it's not going to be very long. There's not too much talking on this show. There's not been too much talking on the last couple of shows, to be honest. It's mainly been the guests doing all the talking. So Ayaz, I know that you're ready with this week's roundup of the news. Please give it to us.
Okay, the first news is that O'Hara Davis and Derry Matthews will meet on the David Haye and Tony Bellew undercard live on Sky Sports box office.
Yes, this is a fight that I wasn't too sure was going to happen. I know that they've been giving a bit of back and forth on Twitter. O'Hara Davies, he's good at his trash talking. It comes naturally to him. It's always exciting when there's a bit of trash talking, a bit of bad blood between two fighters that are going to be fighting. Derry Matthews, he's had his day. Let's be completely honest, but he can bang and he's still dangerous. He's still, he's a man again that does the basics pretty well. He's a man that doesn't have any. He doesn't do anything spectacularly. O'Hara Davies, this is the thing. Derry Matthews, I think he struggles against people who have got a really good jab. And I think that Luke Campbell, when he was establishing his jab, he seemed to not really be able to get past that jab. And O'Hara Davies with Stretch Armstrong style arms, which are just inhumane. If he starts using his jab, which, again, he seems to have been using effectively of late, even if it is a little bit boring. So I think this fight is going to probably be a bit of a boring fight. I hope I'm wrong. But again, if O'Hara manages to establish that jab the way he's been doing it lately, I can't see Derry Matthews getting past it. But it does make it exciting that Derry Matthews can throw a wonder bang and knock opponents out. We've seen him do it with multiple guys. He can really bang, and that is the only thing. I think he's got a puncher's chance. I think that O'Hara's getting him at the right time. He's on the way down, if you like, and O'Hara's on the way up. So yeah, I definitely have to favour O'Hara here. I know that we're quite a while away from the fight now, but it's good that there's been a fight announced of substance to the undercard of Haye Bellew. I'm sure many more will be added. Is there any more news for us, Ayaz?
David Price will fight Christian Hammer on the undercard of Chris Eubanks Jr.'s world title shot fight.
Yeah, it's a weird one because there's been so much made of the whole Chris Eubank thing. Everybody's saying that. I mean, I haven't really been following it too much. I don't, I'm certainly not going to be paying no money to watch him on that pay-per-view thing that they're trying to do. But it's not too far away now. We're less than a month away from fight night, and from what I've heard, I don't think any tickets have gone on sale. There was a rumour the other day that the whole thing was going to be called off of pay-per-view. I think it had no truth to it. It was just one of those silly rumours that go around. But Chris Eubank Jr.'s whole management team and his dad being involved and whatever, it was always going to be tricky to bring together a good undercard because most of the good guys, most of the best fighters in Britain are all signed with the likes of Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn, and they can't just fight on these other TV channels and whatever because they're all contracted. So I didn't know what type of fighters they were going to get on the card. So I know that there's a bunch of prospects on there, and that's good. It's good exposure for the prospects, but it's not necessarily meaning that they're going to be in really good fights. But for David Price to get on this card, it was there's only a few selected good fighters, and when I say good, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but good fighters, fighters that are better than British level is what I'm saying. There's only a handful left in Britain that aren't signed to a big promoter like Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren. I know that there's a few guys, so don't call me out on that one. I acknowledge them all, but David Price being a big name, a big guy, a good fighter, he's had his ups and downs, admittedly, but they've been in unfair circumstances, if we're being honest. So he's a guy. Obviously, he's with the Sauerlands, but seeing as they don't really have a contracted UK broadcaster, they've been able to make this fight pretty easy. So I'm happy about that. It's a good exposure fight for David Price. He's in there against Christian Hammer. We've seen Tyson Fury toy with him when he beat him a few years back. I think that was on I can't even remember what card that was on. That was a decent card. I think it was in London, that one. Yeah, it was. It was in London, I think, at the O2. I can't remember who the main event was. It might have been him. But yeah, that was a fight that he just played with Christian Hammer. If I'm not mistaken, I think he knocked him out in the 5th round. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, he toyed with Hammer. He didn't have any success at all, Hammer. He was way too small. David Price is, an inch or so smaller than, or shorter, I should say, than Tyson Fury. So I don't see any difference here. I think that this is a man who's tailor-made for Pricey, and I wish him all the best. But a good fight for that undercard. Any more news for us, Ayaz?
Lee Selby will defend his IBF World Featherweight Championship belt against Jonathan Victor Barros at the MGM Grand Garden, Las Vegas, on the Carl Frampton undercard.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, and I mean that because we really thought that we was going to probably get the Warrington fight, and it's of no fault of the Selbys, absolutely nothing to do with Lee Selby. He really wanted that fight, but it seems as though Josh Warrington's people don't want that fight. That's I'm not saying that's gospel. I'm just saying that's what the boxing world believe in, and that's what it looks like from the outside. But he's fighting this guy. I'm happy that he's on the undercard of Frampton's fight. He's going to be in a big fight over in the States. I know he enjoys going over to the States and fighting. I know that Andrew Selby wants to be doing that type of stuff soon. So yeah, class fighter. I love the Selbys. I do, both of them. And at the end of the day, it's a good it's a good thing that he's on this big card. Obviously, he's connected with Al Heyman as well. But I just think, in my opinion, it's probably going to be an easy win. I hope he doesn't underestimate the guy, because we've seen him underestimate opponents before, and he hasn't looked very good. He hasn't looked very solid in his last couple of fights. Against Eric Hunter, he didn't look great. He was down early. And when he went over to America, like his first fight over there, I remember when he fought forgot the guy's name, but he'd been a champion a few times, a good fighter, but he was quite old, and he obviously gave Selby a lot of trouble. So, yeah, he hasn't looked super solid at the moment, but I'm hoping that he can put on a good performance here. As I say, it's on a brilliant stage. I'm very, very happy for the Selby brothers, and I wish him all the best. Absolutely nothing but the best. He's a real class act. He's one of the favourite guys I've ever had on here. He's the type of guy I can just send him a message and say, listen, do you want to come on the show? And he'll go, yeah, when you're ready. I'm ready right now. He's that type of guy. So God bless him, and I wish him all the best of luck. Any more news for us, Ayaz?
No, that's it.
Okay, that's it for the news. So, as I say, all the talking was done pretty quick, I hope. I hope that we didn't go on too long, because usually we go on a lot longer. Part 1 consisted of the review part, the preview part, Gervonta Davis. The thing about Gervonta Davis is he's a bit of a shy guy, to be honest. But do not get mistaken. Do not get mistaken at all. He is a quiet killer. He really, really is. He's not big on all the trash talking and stuff like that. He's a man who lets his fists do the talking. He lets his fighting do the talking, and that is what we like. We really do. So all the best to Gervonta Davis. It was brilliant talking to him earlier. It was brilliant having him on the show. I wish him all the best of luck for Saturday. And the last thing to do before we end part 2, of course, and then eventually end the show, is to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man fighting in a really interesting fight on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr.'s upcoming fight. It's the Bomber Adam Etches. Adam, welcome back on the show.
Thank you.
So Adam, first things first, you're taking on John Ryder. This one is officially at super middleweight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's been said that you've got, one common opponent. We all know that. On both of your records, you both fought Sergei Kamitsky. He gave you your only career loss to this point, a knockout in round 4. John Ryder fought him and beat him unanimously over 12 rounds, albeit pretty close. Can anyone take anything away from that little fact there, Adam?
You can take what you want from the fight. You can see it as I can't take a shot if you're not an Adam Etches fan, or you can see it as they were winning comfortably until he got caught. But, there's a whole lot of factors in that fight. I'm not making excuses up, because, a good fighter doesn't make excuses. Best man won that night. And all I'll say is things have changed, and I'll be better come February 4th when it's time to fight.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people see this as a 50-50 fight. I myself, I can't really pick a winner in this one. I think it's a great time for you both to get this fight on. It's perfect timing for me. Do you see it as a 50-50 as well, Adam?
Yeah, you know what? It is a 50-50 on paper because, Klitschko the best person that I've boxed by far. Obviously, he's beaten me. John Ryder's beaten him. John's had his ups and downs in his career, so it is a good fight. But again, on February 4th, best man will win. Yeah,
for sure. And obviously, you're fighting on the undercard of Eubank Jr.'s fight. A lot of people weren't too sure how an undercard was going to be formed. How did it all come around? Because we wasn't expecting such good fights on the undercard, and we've already seen a couple good ones announced, especially your one. So how did it all come about?
Obviously, my manager, the head of boxing, Richard Poulton, he asked me about the fight, and I didn't bat an eyelid. I took it straight away, as I would do anybody. As a fighter, you fight anyone, don't you? That's what you do.
Okay, simple as that. And I've got to ask you, Adam, about a fight coming up this weekend that I'm sure you've got your eye on because you could be in the mix for the winner at some point in the near future. James DeGale against Badou Jack, great fight. Who do you see winning that one?
I think James DeGale should win. It's a good fight, a very good fight. And obviously if it comes to it, there's some massive fights out there for DeGale. So, fingers crossed he can, but I'm sure he'll win anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I reckon so as well. And also a middleweight encounter that we're going to see soon. Gennady Golovkin against Danny Jacobs. Finally, a good fight. We're going to see Golovkin in. Some saying 50-50. I'm not sure I'd go as far to say so. But who do you see winning that one, Adam?
No, I don't think there's any 50-50s as far as Golovkin's concerned. I think he's just one of those fighters that is in a league of his own, to be honest. But it'll be an exciting fight while it lasts.
But you see Gennady winning that one?
Yeah, I think Golovkin will take him out within 4.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. And also one up at heavyweight I've got to ask you about, Adam. I've got to ask everyone about this one because it's took me by surprise. Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. Do you think it's a bit too early for Anthony or the perfect time? Who do you see winning that one?
Well, it's one of them. Again, not being a bad interview, but we'll see on the night. A lot of people are saying it's too early, too soon. A lot of people are saying he'll knock him clean out. So it's to be honest, it's AJ's first real acid test. The Dylan White fight was a good fight. That brought him on and that taught him a few things. So I'm intrigued. I think it'll be a good fight.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And final question now, Adam. I want to ask you this: what are we going to see from you on the night when you take on John Ryder? And if you've got any kind of prediction, I'm not going to push you for one, but if you've got one, please let us hear it.
It'll be a very, very exciting fight, and I'm predicting a win for myself. How I'll win, I don't know, but it's a must-win fight for both of us, to be honest, because either of us to get beaten in this fight, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a long, hard road back. So the winner, it catapults for some big fights. The loser there's not many places to go. It's a long road back. So both of us will be adamant on winning, and like I say, on February 4th, we'll see best man will win that night.
Absolutely. And just before I let you go, Adam, I know that you had fans booking hotels before your fight had officially been announced, which is incredible. That's testament to fantastic support. I wanted to give you the opportunity to send a message to any of your supporters or fans on any level that may be listening.
Yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's bought tickets now and in the past to all my fights. The support's always been incredible every time I've boxed. And a big thank you to my sponsors as well, because without them I won't be able to be a full-time pro. So big thank you to my fans and my sponsors.
Excellent stuff. Okay, Adam, listen, thanks so much for fitting me in with such short notice. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, my friend. Good luck in your fight. I hope all training camps go well for you, and we'll catch up sometime after your fight.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, now it's time to conclude this episode. This has been episode 65. I have been your host, Joey Coastman. I've been alongside Ayaz Sumra. We've had another 2 guests on the show this week that we've pulled out of the hat. One is called The Bomber. One is called The Tank. Both live up to their nicknames, as they certainly can put your lights out with one big bang. As there isn't too much boxing in the coming weeks, we looked ahead to February the 4th, and we saw that Adam Etches was fighting, and within 2 minutes he got back to me and we got him on the show. So once again, a massive thank you to Adam Etches, a huge thank you to Gervonta Davis. We've enjoyed making this show for you. I hope that you've enjoyed it too. We'll be back next week with another big show, as always. Until next time, take care.